The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "The Son of Man must suffer greatly and be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed, and on the third day be raised." Then he said to all, If anyone wishes to come after me, he must deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Whoever wishes to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. What profit is there for one to gain the whole world, yet lose or forfeit himself? The Gospel of the Lord. When we take a trip, whether it's the grocery store, to church, or the Coliseum to get a vaccine or something, we plan it out a little bit. You know, we have a choice to take the scenic route or the fastest route. We have to make sure that our car is gassed up. We have to stay between the lines on the road. And we have to obey the traffic rules because we don't want to get smashed going through some red light or smash somebody else going through a red light. And in a sense, that's what today's readings are about. It's the journeys that we take, and it's the journey toward salvation. Both of our readings talk about salvation and the journey that we take there. They both give us a choice. They tell us the right path and they tell us the wrong path, and it's up to us. Our free will is respected, and we're encouraged to take the right path. In our first reading from Deuteronomy, Moses has been traveling for 40 years with the Israelites, and they're a little bit east of the Jordan River, just across from Jericho. And Moses is well aware of all the wrong paths that they can take and have taken during their journey across the desert. And he's not going to go across the Jordan with them. And he gives them this instruction, it says, listen, it's like I've been with you for so long. He's really blunt with them. He says, choose life or choose death, get out of the middle. And he says, if you choose life, it means you love God, you follow his commandments, and that's going to lead to prosperity. You get to the promised land. For us, that's heaven. That's the foreshadowing of heaven. And then he said, or you choose death. And death is doing what we want to do. We become our own gods. We make up our own rules. We reject God. We reject the commandments. We do whatever we want to do. And he assures us that leads to destruction. And then he, still respecting free will, he encourages them to choose life. And then Jesus in today's gospel from Luke does something very similar, except he tells you what path he's on. He gives a foreshadowing of his death. And so he's carrying his crosses through life. He's preparing for the big cross, and he knows that will lead to resurrection and glory in heaven. And he encourages his disciples to do the same, to take up their crosses and follow him. And then he says things that this statement about, losing your life to save it and saving your life to lose it, which I'll just say a little bit about that. He says, whoever wishes to save his life will lose it. So the person that lives for himself, becomes his own God, follows his own rules in this life, which is perceived happiness in this life, will lose it. No, they're not going to make eternal life, won't end up in heaven. And then, but whoever loses his life for Jesus' sake will save it. So losing our life for Jesus' sake is to take the path that he's on, to carry our crosses, whether it's obligations that we have through marriage or family or raising children or a brother, a sister, a aged parent, something like that, taking care of them. watching out for the poor, caring for others that are in need. So losing the selfishness of what we want to do and looking out for our brothers and acting like Jesus would act. In other words, carrying a cross like he would. And he said, if you do that, if you lose your life like that, then you actually save it. In other words, you'll be assured salvation. And so today, the second day of Lent, it's a good time to check our maps. Where are we going? And we're headed toward salvation. And in reality, none of us are all on one path or the other. Most of us are in between. And so Lent is a great time for us to check where we are and try to go closer toward the path of life, closer toward carrying our cross, headed to where on the same path where Jesus is trying to bring us. And then Jesus assures us, and Moses assures us, that if we choose the path of life, that if we embrace our cross, we will end up in glory with God in heaven, which is our goal. That's our destination. That's where we're going in this trip that we're on.